They just can't help themselves. Same-ish, different day. The Indiana Fever made a huge splash today. Somebody very important to the cause, putting them on a development contract. Somebody very familiar with the Indiana Fever. Someone who's played on the team before. No, not Arian McDonald. No, Bree Hall.
Same script, different day. The Indiana Fever just signed another guard to a development contract, and the fan base is in open revolt. Bree Hall, fresh off her South Carolina career, joins a roster already drowning in backcourt players. And the question every Fever fan is screaming right now is the same question they've been screaming all season. Where is the front court help?
Now you guys might be asking yourselves, wait, why isn't Justine Passot getting called up? Why is Justine Passot sitting there? Justine Passot's probably really injured. If I had to take a guess, she's probably actually injured. There's probably actually something wrong with. They messed her up somehow. They did something to screw her up. Good job, Stephanie, Amber.
That's the elephant in the room. Yalen Brown sitting on the bench, Sydney Colson going nowhere, and now another guard added to the pile. If Peso is injured, fine, say so. But the silence from this front office on roster construction has become deafening. Stephanie White, Amber Cox, and Kelly Crosskopf keep adding pieces that don't fit the puzzle.
Ty Harris, a waste. But we got Ty Harris because her and Stephanie White doing a little hanky-panky over there in Connecticut, so Stephanie White needed somebody. Hey, Ty Harris, come over here. Ty Harris is going to sit on the bench this whole season. And if she gets serious minutes, help me now. Help me now. The Indiana Fever is getting roasted.
And here's where the connections start telling a story. Ty Harris played for Stephanie White in Connecticut. The Bree Hall pickup ties directly back to South Carolina, where Dawn Staley's pipeline continues to flood this roster. Coincidence? Maybe. But when every move points to the same two campuses, fans have every right to ask whose team this actually is.
Much to me, I told y'all, Caitlin Clark's a third wheel. I told y'all, Caitlin Clark's a third wheel. We have an offensive system built around Kelsey Mitchell. We're getting AB's buddies from South Carolina, Raven Johnson, Bree Hall. And there's Caitlin Clark. No system built around her, no off-ball screens, no pick and rolls, and no buddies. 0 for 4.
Read that again. The offense is built around Kelsey Mitchell. Aaliyah Boston gets the touches in the post. Now you're adding Raven Johnson, Bree Hall, and another South Carolina graduate in succession. And Caitlin Clark, the player who single-handedly turned this franchise from a forgotten Indianapolis afterthought into the most-watched team in the league, is somehow becoming the third option in her own offensive system. There are no off-ball screens designed for her. There's no continuity action that frees her like Iowa ran. There are no buddies on the floor from her college years. And the result is an opening stretch where she's looked nothing like the player who broke Division I scoring records.
You better take my girls. Oh, gosh. The Fever front office ain't serious. We have no big depth. We have Damiris Dantas playing like DeAndre Ayton. Billings is hurt. We signed another damn guard, as if we don't already have 6. Billings is hurt. Dantas is just a foul machine that can hit threes every now and then. Maisha Hines-Allen, she looks intimidating, but she plays soft as a teddy bear. She plays soft as the Michelin Man. This team is soft across the board.
Look at that front court rotation honestly. Damiris Dantas is undersized for the modern WNBA 5. Temi Fagbenle is injured. Aaliyah Boston is the cornerstone, but she can't guard every position and rebound for the entire team. Brianna Turner is a foul machine that occasionally hits a corner 3. Natasha Howard arrived from a different system, and her physicality has not translated the way Indianapolis expected. This is the part of the roster that should have been addressed in March. It's now May. The development contract slot just went to another 6-foot guard. Kate Martin, who has actual NBA-level shooting touch, signed with the Los Angeles Sparks because Indiana didn't even make her a competitive offer. Cameron Brink would have given them rim protection and a defensive identity, and that conversation never seemed to seriously happen.
Can't make this stuff up. Can't make this stuff up. This has to be the worst front office in the history of basketball. They're worse than the Chicago Sky. They don't want people to be fans. They're trying to run people away. They're trying to push Caitlin Clark to the side, turn her into a random basketball player, a Sue Bird 2.0, maybe like a little bit of an improved version of it. They don't want her to get too much shine. They don't want her to get too much shine. I'm telling you right now.
Dawn Staley is one of the greatest college coaches of this generation. 3 national titles, an undefeated season, the architect of the modern South Carolina dynasty. Nobody is questioning that. But there's a difference between celebrating a great coach and turning your professional franchise into her professional outpost. When the head coach, the lead executive, and 3 roster signings all trace back to the same college program, you've stopped building a basketball team and started building an alumni association.
What's this organization even doing? Such a lazy front office and coach. Are you afraid to get a big? The Fever becoming a South Carolina reunion team at this point. Kate Martin signed by the Sparks. Cam Brink. Let's not even wish that somehow Cam Brink can get traded here. I mean, why even fucking bother? Why even waste our time thinking like that? Stephanie White, Amber Cox, Kelly Krauskopf.
The Indiana Fever sit at the most important crossroads any WNBA franchise has faced in 2 decades. They have, by sheer luck of the lottery, the most marketable, most watched, most economically valuable player in the history of women's basketball. Caitlin Clark's rookie season generated television ratings that doubled the league's previous record. The Fever sold out every road game. Their merchandise sales reportedly outpaced the rest of the league combined. And ESPN's most watched WNBA broadcast ever featured this team. That is a generational opportunity. That is a gift wrapped in a bow. And what they have done with it, so far, is build the wrong roster around her, design the wrong offensive system for her, and stock the bench with players who happen to know each other in college rather than players who happen to fit her game. Think about the scouting departments of the great NBA dynasties. The Spurs under R.C. Buford, the Warriors under Bob Myers, the Celtics under Brad Stevens. These organizations didn't hire based on alma mater. They hired based on fit. They drafted shooters around their stars. They surrounded primary ball handlers with screen setters and rim runners. They identified the gap and they filled the gap. That is the entire job description of a professional front office. Now look at the gaps on the Indiana Fever roster. Front court size, front court defense, wing length, a backup point guard who can run the offense when Clark sits. Those are the gaps. Those have been the gaps since the season started. Bree Hall is a 6-foot wing guard. She is not addressing any of those gaps. She is, with respect, a flyer. A developmental contract. A name on the back end of a bench that already has Lexi Hull, Sophie Cunningham, Kelsey Mitchell, Sydney Colson, Erica Wheeler, and Caitlin Clark herself logging backcourt minutes. There is no rotation spot waiting for her. There is no need being filled. And then there's the Ty Harris signing. Harris played for Stephanie White in Connecticut last year. White left Connecticut. Harris ended up in Indiana. These are the kinds of moves that, individually, you can explain away. But when you stack them next to the Raven Johnson signing, the Bree Hall signing, the Maddie Segrist conversation that never happened, and the Cameron Brink offer that never materialized, a pattern emerges. And that pattern is not a pattern of professional roster construction. It is a pattern of personal preference. Here's the question Caitlin Clark herself has to be asking privately. When she signed with the Indiana Fever as the first overall pick in 2024, she was told this organization was building a contender around her. She was told the front office understood the moment. She was told Stephanie White, who has championship experience, would design an offense that maximized her gifts. And 1 full year later, she is still without a stretch four who can space the floor. Still without a defensive anchor at the rim. Still without a coaching staff that runs her in the off-ball actions Iowa Road all the way to back-to-back national title games. That is not a player problem. That is a front office problem. And the most damning evidence of all is the body language. Watch Clark on the bench during dead ball situations. Watch her interactions with her coaching staff during timeouts. Watch the way she carries herself in post-game press conferences when she's asked about offensive sets. The most expressive face in basketball has gone quiet. And quiet, from Caitlin Clark, is the loudest signal you can possibly send. So where does this go? The Fever have roughly 2 more seasons before Clark hits restricted free agency. and roughly 4 before she hits unrestricted. The clock is not theoretical, it is real. And every developmental contract slot used on a player who doesn't address the roster's actual needs is another wasted opportunity to surround your franchise asset with the talent she requires. Stephanie White, Amber Cox, and Kelly Kroskoff are running out of runway to prove they understand the moment they've been handed. If the Indiana Fever miss the playoffs this season, or worse, exit in the first round again, the conversation in this city is going to shift dramatically. Because at that point, the question stops being about coaching adjustments and starts being about whether this organization is structurally capable of building a champion around the most important player it will ever employ. And that is a question with consequences that extend far beyond the 2026 standings. Tell me where you stand. Is this front office building a contender, or are they building a South Carolina reunion tour? Is Caitlin Clark being maximized, or is she being managed around? Drop your honest take in the comments. Hit the like button, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.